Welcome to the Batcast.
Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
Now you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
I'll get drive-through.
This is why Superman works alone.
Murder me!
Martha, why did you say that name?
Vengeance.
I am the knight. I am Batman.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of, I will go ahead and say it, the best Batman podcast on the internet, and this is the Batcast. I am one of your hosts, Jake Williams, joined by Luke Moyer. Oh, and he's eating lasagna. Every time I throw it to you, you're eating or drinking or doing something.
Yeah.
Some like to call us the drunken dynamic duo, and I mean by some of us, I mean us. We need to make those t-shirts. I'll wear them.
We do. I would love to have a t-shirt. I would wear it all the fucking time, dude.
All the damn time. Today, we are going to be talking about one of the best superhero games of all time. Legendary game, Batman Arkham Asylum. God, I can't talk.
Asylum.
Batman Arkham Asylum, which this week will mark the 10th anniversary of the game, August 25th. So we were ahead of the curve by a few days. I thought we were going to be a few days late, but we're actually on time. So, in honor of the 10-year anniversary, we're doing all the Arkham games, not just Arkham Asylum. We're doing Arkham City. We're doing Arkham Origins. We're doing Arkham Knight. All that stuff. We're not doing the crappy Wii U, like Wii and Wii U games, because who has time to talk about that?
VR.
Yeah, Arkham VR, which I wish PlayStation VR wasn't so expensive, because I would totally get the VR and play that, but
Well, I heard that it wasn't really worth it because it's only like an hour and a half.
yeah, those VR games aren't very long. That's the issue,
which doesn't really justify the price.
Yeah,
you
well,
know?
I think it's mostly because people get motion sickness when they're in the VR, so I think that's probably why they don't make games as long in that. But c'est la vie. Let's talk about Batman Arkham Asylum. Before we get into the gist of the game, like the plot and all the stuff with that, I just want to kind of open up and kind of talk about the impact that the game has had on us as Batman fans and what it's done for us for video games. So Luke, I'll open it to you. How did it feel playing Arkham Asylum the first time, if you can remember that?
Well, I actually played Arkham City before I got Arkham Asylum because at the time I didn't have an Xbox, so like I was late to the game. I was still on PlayStation 2, all that, and my mom was like, "Hey, you want an Xbox?" I was like, "Yeah, fuck, I'll have an Xbox." So she got me that. She got me Arkham City, and I literally, in a sense, I became like your typical like teenage, like high schooler. I like locked myself in my closet, or not in my closet, but like in my bedroom for like a week straight.
Yeah.
Like I got it over Christmas break, and so like we had another week before we had to go back to school, and I literally did not leave that bedroom for like a whole week. Like we actually had like my dad's side, we had to celebrate Christmas with them. I like came down, said hi, grabbed some chips, walked back to my room, and just continued to play it. Like I would like, it's one of those things where you see in movies where like they drink Mountain Dew,
Yeah.
and they like just slide their empty plate out the door. Like that, it was me. It was pitch black dark. I had the windows covered. It was just me sitting on the floor, like from here to screen, and like I wasn't just playing it. I was 100%ing that shit. And, like, I was doing all the achievements. I was getting all the fucking Riddler trophies. All of it. And then, like, And then you said you had Arkham Asylum, and I was like, oh shit, I gotta play that. So then I went back and played that. And I mean, Arkham is just a great, insane franchise that I wish they would just keep dishing them out, just because they're so fucking good.
Well, it's actually funny because this is, if anybody that's listened to the Jake Williams show, I did a whole episode with Adam Generate about the game the game Infamous that also turned 10 this year, and my experience with Arkham Asylum is almost identical to my experience with Infamous, where I had a subscription to Game Informer magazine, and it was one of their cover games one month, and I was freaking out because I'm like, holy shit, they're gonna like go full on, make a like legit awesome Batman game. And the fact that they got like Mark Hamill to do it, and the fact they got Kevin Conroy, and then they said it was going to be something completely original. It wasn't going to be tied to any comic books or any other movies or anything else like that. So I was really excited reading that Game Informer magazine. So I had months of hype going into this game, and then it got delayed. It was supposed to come out in June of that year, and then it got delayed until August. So it was horrible because it came out right as school was starting. So it was one of those, and we were in, and it was, I think I would have been a sophomore in high school, and we were going through two-a-days, and they're early in the morning, but I was still finding ways to play this game until like 2 o'clock in the morning. Because again, you know, I'm like 15, 16, 17, whatever. I'm a teenager, so my body can adapt to that, and it can change. If I were doing that now, I would be a grumpy bear. Like, I'd be so mad. But yeah, it was so cool because I got it at, like, when it came out. I didn't do, like, a midnight launch or anything like that, but I did get it, like, in that week that it came out. And I was up all night, and I had 6 a.m. football practice, but I was like, I don't care. I'm playing this game. I'm getting absorbed in this game. And I'll never forget the night that I beat it, I was up until almost 3 a.m. and I had school that day. I'm like, I don't care. This needs to be done. And we were also in the process of moving into a new house, so I was trying to find ways to like sneak away while we were moving to go play it, and like hide away in my bedroom and try and 100% like, I didn't do that. I'm not that kind of guy. Mostly because the Riddler trophies piss me off, and I'm just like, whatever. I'm not like you.
I don't know.
You're dedicated to Batman.
I like the whole detective side of it, to where you have to do all these little like tests and quizzes and riddles, and you have to fucking unlock the shit to get the other shit. So I'm like, I'm in it. I'm doing it. I'm finding all the fucking hidden clues and shit.
So yeah, Batman Arkham Asylum had a huge impact on me because I was like, finally, there's a team in, you know, the guys at Rocksteady, the publishers, that actually get it, like understand Batman.
Kudos.
And they know how to make you feel like Batman. And
oh, dude, and some of the like, I don't know. I mean, it's like the whole game, like series throughout, like the dialogue. You're just like, dude, Batman's a badass. He's just like, he's like interrogating fuckers, and he's like, where is it? He's like, huh. And it just breaks his neck or some shit. Oh, wait, no, he doesn't break his neck because he doesn't kill people.
No, but he thinks about
he's
it.
He's like, wrong answer. Breaks his arm.
We'll get to that when we talk about the plot,
Sweet.
but there's one part in this game where I'm like, yes, that is so awesome. That is so Batman. It's amazing. And there's so much to this game. So let's just get into it. Let's get into the plot of Batman Arkham Asylum. I guess it's spoilers, but this game's going to be 10 years old. So if you haven't figured out what the plot is or know what the plot is, that's on you, man. This game's been out for a while. So yeah, the game starts in the Batmobile, and Batman zooming in to Arkham Asylum, which I thought was a really cool shot of cool. You know, the Joker just like hanging out in the back seat. Like, he's like, I've been here before, I know this, whatever. And Batman's just, you know, looking pissed as always. Drives up to Arkham Asylum, brings the Joker in, talks to Jim Gordon. He's like, hey, what up?
As he's strapped to a fucking the fucking bed or whatever. They're
And
walking
like,
him
hey,
in.
yeah, your job's done, Batman. Leave. And he's like, no, he gave up so easily. I don't trust it. So then he goes in, which in my mind, with hindsight, it's like, well, obviously you fell for the trap, Batman. You totally fell for what he wanted you to do. But I think it's also cool because it also plays with that Joker knows Batman at this point in this series, and so he knows that he'll do it. So anyway, they get into Arkham Asylum. They had a really cool moment on when you're walking into the elevator and you're sitting there and the lights go out, and then immediately as the guy, because you're not really, you're controlling Batman walking, but you're not really playing.
But you're
not
do
really
anything?
playing the game yet. So I'm thinking, oh shit, is this how they start the combat and stuff? Like I have to figure out how to get out of this pitch black area and stuff. Like maybe I'd have to put on detective vision, and which would have been really cool, but that's just me. And then this is a moment that I thought kind of set the tone for me. Like, okay, this is gonna be a solid Batman game where he's just got his hand on Joker's throat. Like everybody's freaking out and he doesn't even hesitate. He's just got his hand on his throat and he's just like, what are you doing? And
What's your plan?
I just thought it was such a cool, and then you kind of keep going and it's just like it's like a playable.
It's like a platform where you
Well,
just,
yeah, and the way that it's set up, it's kind of like a playable cutscene where you're just walking and they're just kind of like world building and they're just kind of showing you what the layout's going to kind of look like. Mm-hmm. And then that scene when Killer Croc is being transported and you see him and you see his character design, which he actually looks like a giant alligator man. And you're like, in my head, I'm like, first time playing it, I was like, oh god, I gotta fight that fucker. Like I just knew that there was going to be some sort of thing. And we'll talk about him. There's a lot to this game, which I was impressed with, is how much they managed to just...
the side stories and shit.
Yeah, and how they managed
I enjoy that.
to put all of it in such a small space.
Fucking Bane.
So then, just to skip forward here, it was all Joker's plan. It's a ruse. He breaks out. Harley Quinn's helping him.
Fucking inmates run the asylum.
Literally what's going on. Batman's trapped in Arkham Asylum, and he's got to fight the Joker. And this is where the game gets interesting because you have moments, there's basically 3 components to all these Arkham games, which I think make them, when we talked about how it makes it Batman, they took 3 core things to understand what makes Batman, and that's detective work, combat, and stealth. And
the Joker.
And the Joker, yeah, because he plays a part in all 4 games. But I like how they introduce all of that, because the first sequence, when you find out, oh, it's a whole thing, they just throw in henchmen at you. And I love the combat system, and this is how good the combat system is. It's been replicated so many times, where you're just hitting one button to beat the shit out of these people.
Well, and that's the thing is, I was just playing Deadpool. I was redoing that because I never finished it, and I played it on your account, so I didn't get any of the achievements.
Yeah.
Pissed me off. So I went back, and the whole time, it's telling me B, but I'm hitting Y, because that's the...
Yeah.
Because that's the Batman. And I'm like, no!
I had the same problem. I had the same problem with Spider-Man for the PS4, because the counter button in that is you press the circle button, but a lot of times I was pressing triangle to do the counter because that's what it is in
That's
Batman.
the same thing with me too. Is mostly because I haven't played PlayStation since PS2.
Yeah.
And I was just Xbox the whole time, and I'm like,
What's
you keep doing X, B,
well then
Y.
well,
And
yeah,
I'm like,
and X is on a
right.
different spot on the PlayStation controller versus the Xbox controller, and you're like, I don't understand. But yeah, that's the beauty of that system is it's been so ingrained in your brain when you play action games and you play moments with combat. It's so many games have replicated it. You're always hitting that Y button to counter, and you just don't realize what you're doing.
I liked too. If you get your upgrades enough, you can hit the X to this guy, point the stick at another guy. He flies over there, punches that dude. You hit Y, he blocks another guy, breaks his leg, and then he catches the pipe, and then just that. I love that.
And
then when BVS came out, and you see basically like an on-screen clip of the Arkham game, that was awesome.
Yeah, and I love, and we'll talk about that with the other games, but I love how they evolved that whole sequence of combat where it just gets crazier and crazier with each game. So yeah, that's how they kind of introduce it. You're thrown into a room full of thugs, and you got to fight them all off, and it's, the standard stuff where you got to one button to attack, another button to counter. That's all you need to know. And it just established how solid of a game it was, because in that moment you already felt like Batman. You already felt like there was always a situation, and when there was a situation when there's a room full of thugs, there never was a moment I felt like I wouldn't beat the shit out of them. Like, it gives you the confidence of Batman, where you're like, I can beat the hell out of all these guys. It's not going to be a problem. And from there, we go more and we find out where they do their first little kind of Easter egg, but Victor Zsasz is in this game. And this is kind of where they show you how to do a stealth move, where he's like, I got this guy, and I got a bomb, and I don't want to see any cops, or he'll kill you, or whatever.
Well, I also like, too, like, even in, like, when you, like, enter and you see all the cells open, and you, like, look in each one, and you see the one where it's got all, like, the slash marks and, like, the numbers, like, counted. And you're like, oh, that's Zaz's fucking cell. Or you see the one where it's just got like fucking question marks scribbled all over.
And then you
you just see those like little tiny like hints, like, oh yeah, these were all in here. These are their cells.
And then you see the cell with like the ice over it, and you're like, oh, Mr. Freeze.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad that they gave you a lot, but I'm also glad that they didn't give you everything in the first game, where they have this in mind that, if this is successful, we could possibly put other villains in here. We don't want to blow our load, kind of thing. All right, let's see here. After that happens,
well, I like to is like every time you complete something, you like go into this like extra hallway, and it's like blocked by something, and it'll be like, oh no, you don't have that gadget yet. You can't fucking do that yet. And so you have to go all the way through each level. And then you get this, and then it's like, oh shit, now I gotta go fucking all the way back through the asylum and go back to this fucking spot so that I can get through there and progress the game even further. But for the longest time, in like certain parts, like I didn't realize that. And so I would fucking just in like the same room
around
for like hours trying to figure out where the fuck I was at. And then I was like, oh shit, yeah, I gotta go all the way back to the beginning.
Well, that's the thing too, is because of its small design, like that's what I love so much about Arkham Asylum, is it's got a lot of these side villains and all this stuff, but it's a relatively small game. I mean, the map is decently sized, but it's confined to this one place, and that's what makes you want to keep playing it, because it's so small.
And to piggyback off of that too, like it's all one storyline still, whereas like there's all these like side missions and side villains, but you have to go through them to get to the Joker still. Like, it's still all one storyline, all one plot. Whereas the other ones, it's the one story, and then you have to do all these things later.
Yeah, we'll probably get into that when we talk about, Arkham City and the games after that. I don't mind the open world, but I think what I like more about Arkham Asylum is that it is so linear, and it's focused on one story. And it's what they call a Metroidvania game, where you have one map and you're doing things, but there's certain parts that are blocked off that you were talking about that you had to progress further in the game and then come back and use a separate gadget and all this stuff. So after you deal with Zsasz, then you get a message from Harley Quinn saying she's got the Warden, Quincy Sharp, hostage. So,
oh no,
Batman's like, all right, I got to deal with this shit. And then he goes in through an air duct, and then he kind of goes into a decontamination area where they're trapped because there's Joker toxin, which I love that this is what's cool about the Arkham games, is they incorporate stuff from the animated series, but also manage to be their own thing. And they take things like Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy and Tara Strong that does Harley Quinn's voice, where they take things like that from there
that does like 90% of the women
exactly.
in the DC
and stuff
universe.
like the Joker toxin. But then they also add a level of seriousness like a Nolan movie, you know? And I think that's what's so cool about it.
Just like, oh shit, they're gonna fucking kill this dude.
There's swearing. It's
like
extremely violent.
There was a lot of like, it would happen, it would cut scene, and you'd sit there like, oh shit. Did that just happen?
Especially in Arkham Knight. That gets like, oh damn.
Yeah.
So you got to go in and clear the Joker toxin, and then you got to keep going through there, and then you see gets attacked by a mutated Blackgate prisoner, and this is where I think the game's biggest issue for me is the people that are juiced up on Titan. Because those fights are not fun. They're just kind of annoying. Because you, like, I don't know. It doesn't seem fun to me.
I mean, to a point, like, all the thug battles are cool, whatever, but it's kind of just, like, repetitive, and it's more of a chore than it is, like, part of the game. Where, oh, let's just throw more thugs at them. More thugs. Oh, shit, these guys are fucking juiced. Oh, more thugs. And you're just sitting there fighting over and over and over again, and you're just kind of like, okay, all right. More? All right, we'll fight those guys too.
Well, it's just mostly because, like, for me, the Titan guys is just like, okay, I gotta wait for him to charge me, and then I gotta throw a batarang, and then I gotta dodge, and then he'll hit something, and then I can run up and punch him a few times, and then I gotta roll back, and then do it all over again, and it's like, it's just the pattern was so blatant.
Oh, yeah.
Now, granted, the first time playing it, I probably didn't do it that well. I probably got my ass kicked a lot because I'm like, what do I do? But you know, playing it as many times as I have, it's just like, god damn it. Here we go. Here's this thing, and I got to keep throwing the battering. So then... Yeah,
and every time I play it, I have to 100% it every time.
Yeah, well...
Because I'm just that fucking weird in the head.
Of course. So, after the heart failure of that guy, that's another thing, too. You don't necessarily beat him up. He just, like, has a heart attack and falls down. Then the Joker shows up, and he's like, all right, here's your chance. One free shot. Take me down. And Batman does, and or he's going to do it, but he doesn't throw it, and the Joker's like, I knew you wouldn't do it, you suck. Then leaves. Loser! And then they find the security team in charge of escorting the Joker. You find out that they've captured Gordon. They were dirty. He had some inside cops. And then we go from there. Then this is where I thought was they're crooked. This is where I thought it was really cool, and this adds to the detective stuff that I really love about these games. I think the combat's great, the stealth stuff's great, but I think where Arkham Asylum really excels is the exploration of the place. And I like how they kind of introduced that idea because you're looking for Henry Smith, but to do it, you have to follow the alcohol vapors, and you got to follow that trail. I thought that was so fun. That was such a cool concept, where you're like in detective mode, and you're literally just like looking around, like, all right, where'd it go? Where's the booze? Follow the booze.
You drunk motherfucker.
This is why I don't drink. All right, and then finally, he's trying to get onto an elevator, and then Harley Quinn shows up again and blows up the elevator. So then you have to like scale back up. So you got to go through some vents and do some Batman ninja shit. And then you finally get up there, and then you see there's some armed henchmen, and this is where you kind of learn how to do the Predator stuff. I want to get your opinion on this. What do you feel?
Predator fucking sweet.
Okay. All right, you're jumping right into it. I was going to say, how do you feel about the Predator stuff, but you love it?
Mm-hmm.
Why is that?
Like, because, and I tried really hard, like every time I do one of the Predator things, is to get on the gargoyle sometimes it takes a really long ass fucking time, because I'll wait till every single one of them will come under that one gargoyle so I can get them all with the same one. So, like, I'll do the first one. He'll drop, grab him, hang him, whatever. And then I'll grapple to another gargoyle, wait for the guys to go, "What?
Hey, somebody's in here.
Classic
And then they go over
video
and
game henchman.
Hey.
yeah." And then they go into there and they're like, "He's here! It's the Bat!" And then that guy goes limp. And then I'll like throw a batarang, cut the line, he'll drop, and they get even scareder. So like I intensify my like intimidation factor.
I love that too.
So they're looking
you
around.
can see their heart rate and see their heartbeat go up and up and up every time.
And then I'll grapple to another gargoyle, let them fucking walk around a little bit. Then I'll go back to the same exact one. And I'll do that over and over and over again until I have like all 10 of the guys. And then you go down, and there's just a pile of bodies.
So you just had like a stack of like 10 bodies just piled up. See, what I would do the opposite, where I would like take one guy. I would jump from gargoyle to gargoyle, so I'd have like dudes hanging from each gargoyle. And then to really mess with the guards, I would jump over to another gargoyle, sit there, and then throw a batarang, cut the line. Then it plops down. They're like, "Oh, jeez!" Oh! They start to scatter.
I always like finding fire extinguishers too, and hitting those with the batarang and watching them explode. And they all go look at it, and they're just coming up behind and going,
Shh. Sleep.
Dr. Knockout.
which I thought that was really cool too. Like you could just go up, do a stealth takedown. Super awesome.
Yeah. So that's where we learn how to do the Predator. I agree with you. I think the Predator is so awesome. Because again, it just adds to that
The whole
mystique.
Batman mentality of
and that feeling of, even though I'm in a room full of dudes with like 6 machine guns, I still feel like I could beat the shit out of all.
Oh, and I also like how it like highlights them as orange if they're hostile, if they have weapons. And they're blue if they don't, or if they have guns, they're orange. And if they don't, they're blue. Like if they have a bat or something, they're just blue.
Yeah, if they're
Which is super
unarmed,
cool too.
And that, and then adds to you planning out your attacks. And it also plays into the things that really make Batman, where he can plan out his moves, where he can figure out how to take these guys down. So it's really awesome. So at that point in the game, you go in, you take him out, do your Predator stuff, and then you find Frank Boyles is dead, strapped to a stretcher. And this was a thing that I thought, where we just mentioned earlier, where the game gets pretty dark, where you're like, oh crap, we're going there. We're just gonna see this dude's dead body.
Oh yeah.
Which is interesting, because Frank Boyles is just made for Arkham Asylum.
Mm-hmm.
There's no other attachment to Batman. He was just made for this game. So after Frank Boyles is dead, then you kind of lost on the trail. Then you get someone familiar to show up. Now, he doesn't show up physically, but he shows up in your ear, in your transmission. It's the Riddler. And this is So yeah, the Riddler does not show up. I don't think he actually shows up physically until it's Arkham City, right? Or does he not show up until Arkham Knight?
No, he's in Arkham City.
Yeah,
because he hides out in the church.
Right, and I remember seeing him on one of the covers on the Game Informer cover.
Sidetrack, I like the concept of the Riddler in these games too.
I really liked his character design.
Like he's definitely a mental villain, no physicality whatsoever. Because as soon as you like take him down, he's just like, "Well, I'm done." All right.
So this is where we get introduced to the Riddler, and this is how he's a part of the game. Where he just this is the first time we get the idea of the Riddler trophies and figuring out solving riddles and things like that. By doing that,
Batman,
we finally meet up with William North. A guard unlocks the door and gets you out. Yeah, I always think it's funny. In Arkham Asylum, it was so funny trying to figure out a riddle, because you just kept like tapping the bumper to be like, okay, where is it? And you're just like scanning the whole room.
And it's funny too, because the Riddler would always like come on the comm and be like, "You're an idiot. You're stupid. I'm better than you."
I love how he taunts you. It's so great. And then when you get one, he's like, "Oh, well, that's
what?
Easy." Yeah, when he gets harder,
he
goes like,
could have gotten that one.
But the first ones, he's like, "Yeah, well, I made it easy," and then the hard ones, "What?" World's greatest detective, my ass. So then Batman's walking through the locker rooms of the guards, and he overhears Jack Ryder's broadcast, which, you know, is pretty cool because he's in the comics, that the Joker's threatened to set off bombs across Gotham if any in law enforcement approach Arkham Asylum, essentially saying, it's all you, man. This video game, you got no help. It's just Batman, no Robin, no Nightwing, nada. Just you. So then the sequel. So Batman's like, the bombs aren't real. He's just trying to throw off the other cops. So I'm just going to keep doing my thing. And then we end up with Batman leaving the intensive treatment unit. That's kind of like the first section of the game. And then this is where he finds out, this is where we kind of see the Batmobile for the first time in the Arkham series, where it's getting messed with by vandals. And that means it's fudged up, so you can't use it. Essentially, that's Rocksteady saying, hey, we made it look cool, but we didn't have time to design it in this game, so you can't use the Batmobile. It's broken for the time being. And he enters a smaller area, is wrecked by, let's see, I'm reading out loud. So he fights those guys and deals with that. And this is where we get introduced to another mechanic of following a trail, where he follows the pipe smoke from Gordon, which Gordon apparently intentionally left signatures of the tobacco, like pieces of the tobacco, so Batman could he knew that Batman could follow it.
That's because Jim and Batman have been doing this a while, and Jim's just like, you can follow me.
I'm gonna take some puffs, dude.
Which, what did he do? Like, hold his pipe, which is like tap the little tobacco out, like every so often? Because, like, clearly he can't just.
Often. Jeez. So then, after that, he keeps going. Batman keeps going, and then he goes to the renovations of the visitor center. And he finds a nervous guard attempted to hide in a watchtower. He informs them the escaped convicts have seized the medical facility. So then we have to set up a whole situation where you have to find some doctors and save them. And it's a combination of just beating up some dudes, doing some stealth things to get to Harley and Gordon, and also saving the doctors and the medical units and all that. Being a hero, the usual stuff. And then this is where things get really interesting. Upon entering the lower level of the medical treatment area, this is where Batman meets up with Scarecrow. Which, dude, I think Scarecrow
so cool.
is the best thing about Arkham Asylum. The Scarecrow missions are by far the coolest thing in this game. Oh, yeah? They are so dark. They're so weird.
They're so
and
creepy.
They're so fucking awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm pretty sure, I don't, because I played it after the fact. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure after I did it, I like texted you. I was like, dude, Scarecrow. Holy fuck. Like, I kind of shit my pants.
Yeah, so the first Scarecrow encounter, he gets hit with the gas and he starts to hallucinate. And Batman finds Gordon's dead body in an empty hallway. And then he goes and finds the reanimated corpses of his parents, which, holy God. Well, it's so fucked up because he goes into the room and there's these body bags and the body bags are wiggling initially I was thinking, was this like they're going to be zombies or something? Because, you know, that's the kind of thing you would see in a zombie movie. But then he upsets it and it's his parents and I'm like, good God. Like, oh man. That's when I was like, this game is just awesome. This is unbelievable. And then that's where we get into the big playable parts of this. This is where he gets into like the weird thing where he got to fight a giant version of the Joker, where you have to like maneuver around and you can't let his eyes let out these beams and you can't be seen by them, otherwise he'll catch you and kill you and that will be the end. So you got to hide behind things and then eventually shine a light on him and take him out. It's kind of weird, but it is a video game and they have to make you have some sort of video game stuff. You know, you gotta play through it.
Yeah.
Batman leaves the morgue, finds out, of course, Gordon wasn't real, and realizing that Gordon is still alive, so he's gonna keep going for the trail.
Those were really his parents.
His parents are dead.
They did that. They did something similar in the animated series where his parents basically came back and they're like pissed. They're like disappointed. They're like, you're stupid. Like, you're a disgrace to the family name. You shouldn't be a Wayne because you're parading around as a vigilante. And it's like, thanks, Dad. I did this for you.
Yeah, that's actually interesting because that's a very similar tie to the animated series because it was Scarecrow that did it. Mm-hmm. And there was a moment, that's where you get the iconic moment where he says, I am vengeance, I am the night, I am Batman. That was against Scarecrow where he's like, no, I'm not going to believe this stuff. You're lying to me. It's the gas, whatever. So, and then this is where we get to the part where Gordon, you find out that Harley is guarding Gordon, and if you're spotted, she will shoot him. And then the Joker says, hey, let's sidetrack you again. And then saying,
it's a video game.
Yes, got to keep the plot going. Then he gives him a surprise, and we find Patient X. And who is Patient X? It is Bane. And
Deadpool.
Which is cool, yeah, because they actually give Bane I can't say it, an Hispanic accent.
Oh, I love it too.
Is what he is. He's like, I will break you, Batman. And I was like, yeah.
I love Bane's character, like his whole like everything in this like series, like, the way he progresses through each one. Like he's a genius. He knows everything. He's smart as fuck. It's the serum that makes him stupid. It goes straight to his dick.
So then we find Bane, and Joker has some of the Titan stuff that's like a version of Venom that, he uses to Hulk up. And Bane is sitting there, and Joker pumps him full of it, and then we have a fight. So there's a bunch of henchmen that you got to fight, and then you got to do the thing that you did earlier, where you got to hit Bane with the Batarang, and then duck out of the way, and punch him a few times, and hit him again. And this is the moment that I was talking about earlier, where I said this was a scene where I was like, fuck yes, this is Batman. Bane, after you beat Bane, you go outside with the Batmobile. Bane breaks through the wall, grabs Batman, and starts like bear hugging him like he's going to break his back again. And
then, oh shit, the Batmobile's fixed.
Well, it's funny because he's like, it's so awesome because Bane's like, I'm going to, I'll break you. And then Batman says, no, Bane, this time I break you. And that's when he just takes him out with the Batmobile. It's like, fuck yeah, that's awesome. And of course, the Batmobile sinks. So then the game's like, see, yeah, you can't use the Batmobile. And then eventually, after that, Batman gets Gordon, takes him to an emergency launch helicopter, and he's like, why don't you come with me? And he's like, no, I got to finish this shit. I'll deal with it. And then this is what's funny is Gordon asks, after Gordon leaves, Batman asks about what Bane was calling Dr. Young. She said bruja, and he said that's Spanish for witch. So Bane does not like her. Then the game takes another turn and says, you know what? It's still a Batman game. I know he's not his usual element, but let's just say, because Batman thinks of everything, he set up a Batcave in Arkham Asylum. Which is...
It's so fucking weird.
It's so weird, but it's so Batman. Like, Batman would do something like this. And I really dig that, and that's another way for the game to be like, okay, so this is how you can make new gadgets and continue the story and do the things that you normally would. So we find about that. Then we find out that the Titan Serum is going to create 1,000 Banes, so Batman has to stop the Joker from doing that. And then this is where we go into the sewer, and that's where you start using the new Batclaw thing. Sneaky. And we kind of get the idea of Killer Croc broke into the sewers because he likes being in the sewers,
I asked. I thought that was funny in Suicide Squad. Why'd they put you down here? I asked. Like, okay, cool.
So from there, we get back into Arkham, like back into the Arkham stuff, and we gotta find Dr. Young and that whole thing, and then of course, Zaz is still mad about earlier, so he shows up again, and he has Dr. Young hostage in Warden Sharp's office, and Batman's like, nah, dude, throws a batarang, takes out Zaz, and rescues Young. Dr. Young reveals that Joker now has the Venom and her Titan formula, so, oh shit, he's going to keep carrying the army. And then we meet up with Harley Quinn, and Batman goes after her. And this is where we get introduced to... He reaches the Green Mile where we meet Poison Ivy, who is sexed up in this game.
Like, I know she's a computer-generated image. But damn.
She's no Uma Thurman.
I'd get Poison Ivy on my dick.
Jesus Christ.
I'd risk it for the biscuit.
Oh, jeez. So Ivy's like, look, Batman, I need your help. You got to save my plants. They're in pain. Batman tells Ivy that it's like, I got more important shit to deal with. No thanks. So then he meets up with Clayface, which I totally forgot Clayface is in this game. So Clayface tries to convince Batman that he's Cash, Sharp, and Gordon, but it's unsuccessful. Yeah, I remember this now. Yeah, I remember the whole thing. It was kind of cool. And he's like, nah, not doing that, dog. Joker contacts Batman about their friendship between the two of them after saying he's setting up something to keep him busy until the party's prepared. That's the whole thing, is Joker keeps sidetracking Batman with other stuff to do until he's ready for the final showdown. Then eventually Harley attacks Batman, and that's when her boss battle kind of happens, and then you get her and lock her up, throw her in her cell, and then you find out that Harley Quinn accidentally tells Batman, like, oh, Joker has a secret Titan production facility underneath the Botanical Gardens. Because, of course.
No shit. Because, fucking villains, they like to monologue and give away the plot.
Well, we got to get Batman back to the Botanical Gardens and Poison Ivy.
Back to the lab again.
Exactly. So Batman heads over there, and then he's stopped by an electrified pond, so he has to cut the power to the building, so another thing where you got to figure out how to do that. And then, eventually, he needs to find an antidote for the Titan and the rare spores which can be found in the sewers, and that's where he meets up into the lair of Killer Croc, and he tells her to go back to the cell. Of course, this is Ivy telling him how to get this stuff because, they gotta work together. Ivy's got to be on his side, or so you think. Then some more stuff happens. Usual game. I'm kind of just skimming over it because I want to talk about meeting up with Killer Croc, going to Killer Croc's lair. But I think there's a Scarecrow moment before that, if I'm remembering correctly. I'm also looking at it right now. Anyway, let's go to Killer Croc. So we meet up in Killer Croc's lair. Comes closer, this is the scene that I really like because it's a different boss battle. Because it's not really a boss battle. Mm-hmm. You're trying, this whole game you're conditioning to just holding A and running to things and getting there in time. And then the game just says,
stop.
Let's stop that all.
Slow the fuck down, bro.
And you're literally walking, like barely moving at all across these things. Because if you move a little bit, Croc just pops up and you're like, fuck. And
dude,
you gotta...
when I first did that, and he first popped up, I almost threw the controller because it scared the shit out of me. I was like, oh.
Oh, yeah. Shit. I fucked up. We'll talk about Killer Croc in a minute. This is a part in the game that always fucks with me. So there is another Scarecrow instance. Because you're backtracking to the intensive care unit, which is the beginning area in the game. And you got to fight some of Ivy's plants, and then the Joker shows up. And this is where you get the gas again, and the beginning of the game happens. And
yeah.
There's a sequence where you're sitting there, and everybody has the same reaction. They think the game broke. Because you're literally sitting there, and it's like that, and then the screen goes black, and I'm like, what the fuck? I just bought this game. How could this happen? I didn't do anything.
And then it's almost like it's reset, and you're back to the beginning.
You're like the opening title screen, but Joker's driving the Batmobile, and you're tied up in the back. And then he pulls you in, and you're put into a first person, and Joker looks at you and shoots you in the face. I didn't know you could dodge it the first time playing it, so I got shot right in the head. And the whole time, instead of the dude that's walking with Batman, like taking the notes, it's Scarecrow walking with the Joker. But yeah, the Joker, you're supposed to hit the dodge button to dodge it. I did not know that, and he popped me right in the face the first time. I was like, well, what the fuck? I didn't. And then, of course, we go through the whole sequence again where you have to fight Scarecrow, and then he defeats him again. And then at this point, the fear gas doesn't work. So then Scarecrow gets him again. And then this causes Batman to see the Joker's henchmen as skeletons. This is where it got really weird, because the like Scarecrow sequence, but you're fighting skeletons.
Fighting little skeleton men.
And you're like beating them up. I think they have swords. I can't remember. I was like, is this like Jason and the Argonauts?
Pretty sure.
Yeah, it's pretty weird. And then eventually you find, and then you keep going after Scarecrow, and then that's how you end up in Killer Croc's lair. And this is the whole sequence where you're trying not to run, because if you run too much, Croc can find you and hit you, and he'll jump out of the water and fight you. Of course, Scarecrow almost gets eaten by Croc, where I was like, oh shit, are they going to have Killer Croc eat Scarecrow? Because honestly, that would have been badass. But Batman intervenes and saves him, because Batman's a good guy. And there you go. Batman puts down some explosives gel. Killer Croc runs over it. Kaboomy! He dies. Not really.
Kaboomy! No, the Killer Croc don't die, because Batman doesn't kill. He just runs dudes over with cars, but he doesn't kill them.
So inside the Batcave, Batman takes the spores from Ivy's plants and makes an antidote. But we also find out that Ivy is continuing to have her plants take over Arkham, because we need another boss battle. So, which I gotta tell you,
my baby.
The Poison Ivy boss battle pissed me off, because it was so. That was probably, to me anyway, that was the final boss, because that was the hardest part of the ending. Was just fighting those stupid. Because you fight. She's like on this platform, and she's shooting these like pink spores at you and hitting you, and you gotta like dodge them and then throw the batarangs at her. That whole thing sucked. And then after you defeat her, you go into the ending of the game. Let the party begin, baby. Which I didn't know this, but when you go in the building, you know all those henchmen are clapping. You can beat them all up, and if you beat them all up, you get an achievement. I didn't know that, because usually I was just like, whatever. I'm just gonna beat the shit out of the Joker. I've been dealing enough with these people. I'm not even gonna bother. But yeah, if you beat them all up, you get an achievement for it. So then we meet up with Joker, and again, it's just another Titan fight. I thought this kind of sucked, to be honest. There's so many good things about this game, and it kind of falls flat with the Joker fight, because you're just doing what you've done before, but this time you're waiting for him to like taunt because when you're fighting, you're on this big platform, and then like a police helicopter circling around, and there's TV cameras, and the Joker's like, yes, I got an audience, and you're fighting him, so he like climbs up to taunt at some point, and you gotta like throw batarangs at him to knock him, or no, you gotta shoot the bat claw and pull him down, and then punch him a few times. It is what it is. The ending is pretty badass, though, because Batman puts the explosive gel on his knuckles and punches Joker in the fucking face.
That's so cool.
And he loses some teeth, and he knocks him out. And he says, I did everything I did, I beat everybody. And then at the end, Batman is informed that Two-Face is raiding Gotham, and he's like, okay. Ka-ching! Shoots his grappling hook into the Batwing. Flies off, credits, and then we get an after credits scene. Looks like Scarecrow wasn't killed, and he's hugging some Titan, which they never follow up on that in any other games, as far as I remember. I don't think you do. So,
I guess technically, Arkham Knight.
I guess, because he's the main baddie in that one, but. Anyway, so Luke, what are some of your favorite moments from Batman Arkham Asylum?
Hitting Bane with my car.
I break you.
Yeah.
I would say the Scarecrow moments are my favorite.
Yeah, Scarecrow was pretty cool. I think mostly just the character intros, like seeing their concept art and like everything for the first time, and you're like, oh shit, Scarecrow's got fucking Freddy Krueger needle hands.
I think all the villains' designs are awesome in this game. And I really love that his he's got his fingers are the fear toxin syringes. I love that, and he just stabs
you. Just shoves it into your chest.
Like, jeez,
so cool.
Cheers. I think that's probably some of my favorite moments. I've got to be the Scarecrow moments, especially the parts where the one where you're walking and it starts to rain. And you just keep walking, and it's raining, and then you start to turn into younger Bruce, and you walk up, and your parents are dead in the in Crime Alley, and underneath them is the bat symbol, and like that was just such a cool thing to see.
Which I feel like when they were creating Batman, like way back when, they like had a name for the alley. Like, they wrote it as Crime Alley, and they're like, we're gonna fix that later. That's just, to be renamed when we decide. They just never did, and so they just kept it as Crime Alley, because that just is like, don't fucking go down it. Don't go there. It's Crime Alley. People fucking die. Don't go there. So, yeah.
Why would you go there, man?
Rant. Yeah, why would you go to... If something's called Kill Me Later, I'm not gonna go down it, because there's a possibility I'm gonna die.
Oh my god, I didn't like Zorro. What a loser.
What a puss.
I there's so many moments to think about, and I think the Scarecrow moments are to me the most memorable from Arkham Asylum. I loved the Killer Croc fight. That was really cool to just be like, you had to move slowly across and outsmart him that way. I think a lot of it was there. It was disappointing that the final Joker fight was kind of lame. But I mean, Arkham Asylum, I can't believe that Rocksteady set a bar so high with this game and then continued to just keep pushing it higher and higher and higher. Because in my opinion, they only got better. I mean, yes, you could argue with Arkham Knight kind of fell off, but I think it's only because people really, really hate the Batmobile, the Bat Tank. I totally get it. I think that docks the game for me a little bit. But regardless, Arkham is great. We talked about it earlier. I love the Easter eggs of each cell. The fact that they even have like a reference to Calendar Man in one of the cells, and and I like the fact that Two-Face's cell, one side was normal and the other side was all fucked up, and the Riddler and all that. So
I wish they would do something with Calendar Man.
Why?
I think that'd be awesome.
Sucks.
Because he's just so stupid. Or the Condiment King. Like, come on, man.
Or I was gonna say
Crazy Quilt. Hell yeah, dude.
But only if he gets murdered in the first the beginning of it. Just take him out. All right, so Batman Arkham Asylum. What are we gonna rank this one? Well, it's the only one we have right now, so I think it's gonna number one until next week. Arkham Asylum. Thanks so much for listening to another episode of the Batcast. What do you think of Batman Arkham Asylum after 10 years? Will it always be the legendary game that you remember it to be? Do you think it's not aged well? I think it's aged like a fine wine, personally.
Every time I play it, I feel like it gets better.
Yeah.
And it's one of those games where I will. I waited till it came out on the. Was it the anniversary the last time it came out too? Like when they put it on the combo of Asylum and City?
No, I think it was just some sort of I think 2016 was when it first came out with Return to Arkham.
Well, I decided because it's a new console, I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'll buy it, replay them, and I do not regret that purchase because I love those games, and I feel like it's gonna be one of those things where I'm not gonna rebuy them every time, but I am going to continue to play them, continue to hold on to them, and I'll force my child to play them when he's of age, much like. He will sit through the shitty Batmans before he gets to watch a good Batman. You gotta
respect it. You gotta deal with what I dealt with. Well,
yes, exactly.
I agree, and we joked about this when we were gonna do the ranking the Arkham games. I mostly said because we haven't geeked out about them for a couple of years because we went back, played through Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, getting hyped for Arkham Origins, which is even Arkham Origins, and then
Origins.
We played through that, and we talked about that, because I remember I stayed at your apartment, because I didn't buy it, you did, and I just stayed over and played through it.
And I woke up, we stayed up like super late drinking, and you're playing, and we're just talking, hanging out. I go to bed at like, 4, 5 a.m.? I get back up, and it's like 9 o'clock the next day. You're sitting cross-legged in the chair in your underwear, passed out.
Straight up.
And Batman's just like it's not paused or anything. It's like mid-game, and he's like in the middle of this hallway.
Just sitting there. And then you like, Jake.
Like, dude, Jake, you're still playing? Huh?
Oh, yeah.
Just right back into it.
Yeah, and it's been a while since we've done that, so, well, why not do it for the Batcast and for the 10th anniversary? We'll be back next week to talk about Arkham City. Everybody regards this as the best Arkham game. Will we? That's the question. You'll have to tune in next week and find out. This has been the Batcast. You can... For any updates on the Batcast, go and follow 402 Films on Twitter and Instagram. You can also follow Loud and Opinionated. That's where we're home. We're part of the Loud and Opinionated family, so we'll also have updates there. And we'll be back next week. Same bad time, same bat channel.
Have a wonderful day.
Chick-ta-cha.